Kentucky, rolling hills, the Derby, bourbon. That's the postcard image. But beneath the beauty, shadows linger. In the Appalachian foothills and forgotten basements, secrets hide, stories that never make the brochures. Tonight, we pull back the curtain on Kentucky's mysteries, disappearances, hauntings, and crimes that have haunted communities for generations. Some tales defy explanation. Others are tragedies that echo through time. We'll explore lost settlers, haunted nightclubs, and bizarre events that challenge reality. Each story is a piece of Kentucky's darker puzzle. Stay with us as we journey into the state's most unsettling secrets. Tonight, Kentucky's shadows come into the light. In the year 1780, a group of 600 brave settlers, led by the ambitious John Filson, journeyed into the untamed wilderness and established Fort Nelson near what is now Louisville, Kentucky. They were pioneers, seeking new opportunities and a fresh start along the banks of the mighty Ohio River, determined to carve out a future in this promising but perilous land. These settlers built sturdy log homes, traded goods with passing travelers and local tribes, and worked tirelessly to create a thriving community. They shared hopes, laughter, and the dream of a better life for their families, forging bonds in the face of hardship and uncertainty. But then, without warning, something unimaginable happened. One day, the entire settlement simply vanished. Food was left uneaten on tables, tools were dropped in the middle of daily tasks, and fires still smoldered in the hearths. It was as if everyone had disappeared in an instant, leaving their lives frozen in time. There were no bodies, no signs of violence or struggle, and not a single clue to explain what had happened. The settlement was eerily silent, as if the people had been erased from existence. Over the years, countless theories have emerged. Some believe disease swept through the camp, while others suspect a sudden attack or mass abduction. There are even whispers of something far stranger, an ancient curse, or a supernatural force lurking in the Kentucky wilderness. The disappearance of Fort Nelson remains one of Kentucky's greatest unsolved mysteries, often compared to the lost colony of Roanoke. It stands as a chilling reminder of how quickly entire communities can vanish, leaving only questions behind. What could possibly erase 600 men, women, and children without leaving a single trace? The question haunts historians and locals alike, fueling speculation and legend. The silence that lingers over the site is almost deafening, a heavy reminder of the lives that once filled this place with hope and laughter. This is just the beginning of Kentucky's long and fascinating history of the unexplained, where fact and folklore often blur together. Next, we journey to a place where the past refuses to rest, and the echoes of history still linger in the shadows. Wilder, Kentucky, home to Bobby Mackey's Music World, a honky-tonk with a sinister reputation. Once a slaughterhouse, the land is soaked in blood and legend. The murder of Pearl Bryan, a dancer's suicide, and whispered curses haunt its history. Staff and visitors report ghostly apparitions, violent encounters, and a basement well rumored to be a portal to hell. Even skeptics can't ignore the stories. Paranormal investigators flock here, drawn by decades of chilling claims. Is it all legend, or is Bobby Mackey's truly a place where the veil is thin? Kentucky's horrors aren't all supernatural. Some are simply unexplainable. 10. Bath County, 1876. On a clear day, raw meat rained from the sky. Chunks of flesh, some as big as your hand, fell for minutes, shocking witnesses. Scientists analyzed the samples: lung tissue, cartilage, muscle. No one agreed on what it was. The leading theory? Vultures vomiting their meal mid-flight, startled into dropping their grisly cargo. But no one saw any birds, and the sky was clear. The Kentucky meat shower remains a bizarre, unsolved event, stranger than fiction. Sometimes reality is weirder than legend. But Kentucky's darkest stories are often heartbreakingly human. 1. In the winter of 1925, Floyd Collins, an experienced caver and explorer, ventures deep beneath the rolling hills of Kentucky. He's searching for a new entrance to the famous Mammoth Cave system, hoping to make a discovery that will bring him fame and fortune. But as he squeezes through a tight, twisting passageway, disaster strikes. He becomes trapped far below the surface in the cold, silent darkness of the earth. A massive rock shifts unexpectedly, pinning Floyd's left foot in a narrow crevice, nearly 150 feet underground. The passage is so tight that he can barely move, and the air is damp and chilling. Alone and unable to free himself, Floyd's desperate calls for help echo through the stone corridors. News of his predicament spreads quickly. Soon, the rescue effort becomes a national sensation. Radio broadcasts update anxious listeners. Crowds gather at the cave entrance, and reporters from across the country descend on the scene, turning the rescue into a media circus unlike anything Kentucky has ever seen. Rescuers crawl through the treacherous tunnels to reach Floyd. They talk to him, pass him food and water, and try to keep his spirits up. But despite their best efforts, the rock trapping his foot proves impossible to move. Each attempt to free him is met with new dangers and setbacks. As days pass, the cave's unstable walls begin to collapse, blocking the rescuer's path and cutting off all contact with Floyd. The world waits in suspense, but hope fades with every passing hour. By the time rescuers finally break through the debris, it's too late. Floyd Collins is gone, his life claimed by the very cave he hoped would make his name. In a macabre twist, Floyd's body is left on display in the cave he discovered, drawing curious visitors from miles around. His tragic fate becomes a spectacle, blurring the line between mourning and morbid fascination. The story of Floyd Collins is a haunting reminder of how hope can turn to despair, and how the world's fascination with tragedy can transform private agony into public entertainment. His legacy lingers in the shadows of Kentucky's caves, a symbol of both courage and caution. But the mysteries of Kentucky's underground are far from over. The next secret waiting in the darkness is just as chilling and remains unsolved to this day. December 1982, Glaucomora Farm, Fayette County, a family is found murdered in their home. Robert Virginia and Michael Jones were bound and shot in a scene of shocking violence. No forced entry, no clear motive, robbery, rage, or something more. Theories swirl: organized crime, disgruntled employees, the shadowy bluegrass conspiracy. Despite exhaustive investigation, the case remains unsolved. The murders haunt Kentucky's horse country, a brutal secret that refuses to fade. Sometimes evil hides in the most idyllic places, but not all Kentucky's dangers are human. 10. The Pope Lick Trestle near Louisville is home to a deadly legend, the Pope Lick Monster. Described as a goat-man hybrid, it's said to lure victims onto the high, narrow tracks. Some say it mimics voices, others claim it hypnotizes trespassers. The real danger? The trestle itself? Trains come fast, and there's nowhere to escape. Thrill seekers have died chasing the legend, turning folklore into tragedy. In 2016, a woman was killed searching for the monster. The story is a warning. Sometimes the legend is less deadly than the reality. Kentucky's mysteries aren't just stories, they have real, lasting consequences. 10. Christmas Eve, 1945. The Sauter family's home in West Virginia burns. 5 children vanish. No remains are found. The ladder is missing, phone lines cut, and strange threats had preceded the fire. The Sauters believe their children were kidnapped, not killed. They launch a tireless search. Private investigators, billboards, rewards. In 1967, a mysterious photo arrives from Kentucky, hinting at survival. The detective sent to investigate disappears. The mystery endures. Were the Sauter children lost to fire, or to something more sinister? The family's hope never died, and the case remains unsolved. Kentucky's shadows stretch far, and sometimes hope is the only light. 11. In the 1970s, the city of Louisville, Kentucky, was gripped by a chilling terror. A real-life monster, soon to be known as the Ripper of Louisville, stalked the city's quiet streets and vibrant neighborhoods. Residents who once felt safe walking home at night began to look over their shoulders, haunted by the knowledge that a killer was lurking in the shadows. Young women began to vanish without a trace, their disappearances sending shockwaves through the community. Days or weeks later, their bodies would be discovered, brutally murdered in ways that suggested a cold, calculating mind at work. The brutality of the crimes left families shattered and the city in mourning. The city was paralyzed by fear. Parents kept their children indoors, and the streets emptied after dark. Police were overwhelmed, working around the clock but finding themselves with few clues to follow. In an era before DNA technology, investigators relied on witness accounts and physical evidence, but the killer seemed to leave nothing behind. The Ripper was methodical, moving like a ghost through the city. He was invisible to the authorities, always one step ahead, and despite their best efforts, he was never caught. The fear that he could strike again at any moment kept the city on edge. Then, as suddenly as the nightmare began, the murders stopped. The city was left with no answers, only a trail of grief and confusion. Detectives pored over evidence, but the case grew colder with each passing year, leaving only haunting questions behind. Was the Ripper a local resident, someone who blended in with the community? Or was he a drifter, passing through and leaving devastation in his wake? Some wondered if he was someone hiding in plain sight, a face seen every day but never truly known. Decades have passed, but the case remains one of Kentucky's darkest and most enduring mysteries. The files sit gathering dust, and the names of the victims are whispered in local legend, their stories never forgotten. These stories, of sudden vanishings, haunted places, and unsolved crimes, are woven into the fabric of Kentucky's history. They are the hidden scars that shape the state's identity, fueling ghost stories and urban legends that persist to this day. They remind us that beneath Kentucky's natural beauty and vibrant communities, shadows still linger. The past is never far away, and its mysteries continue to cast a long, dark shadow over the present. Thank you for joining us as we explore Kentucky's secrets and bring its darkest stories into the light. Stay curious, and remember, the truth is sometimes stranger and more chilling than fiction.